Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Frank Cannon. I'm the president of the American Principles Project, and it's my great honor to welcome all of you here tonight for our first annual dinner. You're going to hear some very incredible speakers tonight. We're going to talk about our founding principles and how we move them forward to victory in elections and policy debates, moving forward into the next Congress, moving forward into the next presidential election. But I'm here because I'm kind of the New Yorker in the bunch. I get to give the kind of direct, hopefully short, blunt speech that puts this a little bit into context. I started this group along with Professor Robert George of Princeton and Luis Tellez of the Witherspoon Institute back in 2009, very early in the year, when President Obama took over. And there was a concern then that the conservative movement was not ready to combat a very new and very different phenomena in then President Obama. I'm here to tell you that 2012 was an affirmation of the deep need to figure out how the conservative movement moves forward. The 2012 election is the exact opposite of the kind of election that we at American Principles Project think the Republican Party and the conservative movement must run if they are to be victorious. The election was without a doubt an attempt to fulfill the truce strategy put forward most notably by Governor Mitch Daniels. It was an abysmal failure. Let me just speak to 3 points that I think are relevant and why I think that the issues that we deal with at American Principles Project are so important as we try to reconstitute a winning conservative philosophy. The first and foremost idea is that all of our arguments need to be based not on questions of efficiency or questions of having greater practical skill, but they must be based essentially on principles. We spent, and I want you to try to conceive of this because it's the largest amount ever spent, $1 billion making an economic message to the American people. And what we told them, and it was correct, was that President Obama was not a good steward of our economy. We made this argument during a time of great loss of jobs and great stagnation in the country. And we were told that if we kept quiet on all other issues, and we made this issue well, and we were able to maximize that, we would again win the presidency. We did not come close, and we have to confront that. This nominee got essentially the same number of votes within a few 100,000 as Senator McCain got last time. And we lost by about 4 million votes. In 2008, we lost by about 7 million votes. We need an economics that connects with the real strivings of the middle class. The middle class is told, pollster after pollster, they're concerned about 2 things: jobs and rising prices. We think it's time for the conservative movement to look at bold solutions, including changes in monetary policy that will enable us to actually fight the reality of what's happening to people who labor in this country, who are losing jobs and losing their ability to purchase things. Ronald Reagan told us that monetary policy was a part of his idea of how we move forward. I think we need to be faithful to that legacy and join in supporting that and at least raising those issues as we look at how the conservative movement can reconnect with average Americans. The second and probably more important issue to me personally is what we decided to do on social issues. We decided not to fight for religious liberty, not to fight for traditional marriage, and not to fight for the unborn children in America. When I say we, I mean the leadership of the conservative movement in terms of the money that we spent, in terms of the arguments we made in this general election, and it was an abysmal failure. Ronald Reagan was right that there were three prongs to the stool, and if we do not support each of those legs, we will not have a winning conservatism. Chris Caldwell, I think, writing in the Weekly Standard, put this best for me, and I will just paraphrase him. He said that a bad values agenda will beat no values agenda. The other party was not shy. The liberal movement in this country was not shy to talk about where they wanted to bring our nation if they were to be elected. We cannot beat them by trying to imitate them, and we cannot beat them by being silent. We need to understand that an integrated conservatism, and Sean Filer, our president, and Robbie George, our founder, will talk about what that means in greater detail. But as a practical matter, we cannot win political elections without an integrated conservatism. And the last point I want to make is about Hispanic voters. I propose no change in the principles that we fight for as conservatives. What I proposed for 3 years and what our organization has fought for is the idea that Hispanic voters can and must be the Reagan Democrats of the 21st century. Each new group that was integrated into our country was integrated along American principles. Those principles, those fight for free markets, those fight for life, those fights for family, are going to be as effective with Hispanic voters as they've been with all the other voters who've been integrated into our great country. We cannot stand aside. We watched 2 million new voters come into the election as Hispanic voters this time around, and we got a lower percentage. It is up to us to carry the argument directly to them, and we're committed as an organization to help in that process. It's my privilege now to introduce one of my heroes in Washington, a man who spends a lot of time with good humor and great intellect, pricking the assumptions that the mainstream media has about what is and isn't real. And we're delighted to have him as our MC tonight, Fox News contributor and one of the founders of the Weekly Standard, Bill Kristol, and my good friend.
Well, thanks, Frank, and I would also welcome you all here tonight for this wonderful occasion. I told a friend who asked if we could have a drink tonight. I said, no, I was busy serving as master of ceremonies. Not something I've really, I think, ever done before. I'm more used to fighting Juan Williams than managing the flow of traffic up here, but I'll do my best to keep it. Someone else asked me out there, are you going to give some inspiring or heartening or edifying remarks? And I said, it's a choice between that and getting us out of here on time. And he said, that's fine, just get us out of here on time. So that's my plan. But anyway, I told my friend that I couldn't see him tonight because I was emceeing a dinner of an organization. He's not that political, so that he wouldn't know of necessarily, APP, which was, I could sum it up. It has 3 pillars, really. It's pro-life, pro-immigration, and pro-gold standard. And he said, do those always go together? Is that it's a new kind of 3-legged stool. I'm on board. When Jeff and Frank... When Jeff and Frank told me they were going to do this dinner, I said, well, maybe we can have a dozen people. We can get a nice room in the restaurant. But I'm very heartened to see 275 people here tonight.